Welcome to the Land Cave. We're living as nerds here.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful.
We're talking gaming stuff, nerd news, everything like that. I'm joined by Owen, as per usual. He's gonna go full screen though. That's just disrespectful. That's so much better now. There we go. No, it's so much prettier, so much prettier. We're talking nerd news, gaming news, anything that we feel like rambling about. Some stuff you may feel like rambling about. You can talk about it in the comments or tell us to talk about it in the comments. We'll probably acknowledge you, and we'll be gentle. So type stuff. Talk to us. It'd be cool. How you doing, man? You doing good?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Decently long week, but I literally can't complain. Outer Worlds got good reviews, so
I saw that, yeah.
And pre-ordered it, so that should be locked and loaded for Friday evening. I'm not gonna be able to play on Saturday, but I'm hoping that I can get in some time, like Friday night.
Yeah,
the kid goes to sleep.
Yeah, and that's seriously, that's why one of the beautiful things about the internet and reviews and everything, and being able to digitally, I'm sure you pre-ordered that digitally, right? So so being able to do that, it's just ready to go Friday morning for you. It's just fantastic, and especially with the embargoes coming out, with enough time for you to make that decision and still get pre-order as opposed to like having it come out launch day. So that's cool. I thought about.
Sorry. I've definitely gotten to the point as far as pre-orders go and as far as just ordering in general goes, like unless that there's an incentive, like for example, Jedi Fallen Order was $10 off on Amazon, like I mentioned to you last week, so I went ahead and pre-ordered that physically.
Yeah.
But unless there's some type of discount incentive, the only thing that I'm really going for physically now is first party games, and then anything like special, like Final Fantasy VII remake is not first party. It is only going to PlayStation right now, but like I got the steelbook of that. I've got the steelbook pre-ordered for Last of Us 2 that is first party, but otherwise I'm going pretty much digital. There's just as soon as the kid starts walking around, I've seen this image in my head already of just all my discs and stuff being pulled out, and while I could catch it fast enough where I don't ever expect them to damage anything, let's get a little scared. So I'm gonna start putting the first party stuff on a higher shelf, and then just go digital the rest of it. Anyway.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and I will say that it changes. Like, I mean, it's small things, but like baby proofing the house and everything. I haven't had to do it, but being in houses where they're baby proofed or anything like that, it's like it changes how you live and it changes your lifestyle because you're having to worry about the things that you shouldn't have to worry about. Like if the kid's playing and being able to be on his own for the most, not for the most part, I'm talking about when he's a toddler and everything, you don't want to have to worry about like, oh no, he spilled his juice all over my favorite games. Like that's something you shouldn't have to worry about. Just let him play. So it's cool. Yeah. So you playing some games? What have you been playing?
Yeah. So I picked up Little Town Hero as kind of a fill in the thing waiting for Outer Worlds. So this is Game Freak's first non-Pokemon game. It's okay. It was only like $25, which for some people that's not anything to sniff at, but for me it was fine. It's janky. I don't like. That's where this and Link's Awakening, man. I'm just surprised at some of like the close to Nintendo studios, being day one, having issues. That's just a really weird thing for me to kind of comprehend. The battle system though is actually pretty cool. For somebody who like, again, is just kind of filling the time, I just kind of played in bed while my son's falling asleep. There's no grinding, it's just all boss fights, and so there's no experience really. Like there is like a little skill tree thing that kind of helps out what you're seeing on screen right now, which is the ideas, and it buffs up those ideas. But you can literally go through the entire game, like every battle, and then you can stop between every battle, and you don't have to worry about like, I got to do all this extra stuff so that I can be ready for the next part of the story. So for that part, it's pretty cool. I'm probably like halfway through it. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it or not, just because I don't like all the fetch, like the main story is just fetch quests and in between the boss fights. If I could just kind of like skip the text easily and just go to the boss fights are fun enough to keep me intrigued, but
so it's just not well balanced.
Which I guess is fair, but at the same time, like, you guys have been making Pokemon games forever, and while Pokemon has a very specific thing, like you guys know how to make an RPG. Like, even if it's a simple RPG, like, you don't have to go. I don't know.
It has a I mean, Pokemon games have a structure. That's the thing that some people. The only thing I think people don't like about them is the structures is pretty much the same in every game. But at the same time, you have growth. You have some story. You have enough story to keep you going, at least. I've been playing a game that has very little story but has amazing mechanics.
Ooh,
Breath of the Wild.
No.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I was looking at some games that were that are coming out. I tried a little bit of the games with the gold stuff, just wasn't digging it. And with the limited time that I have right now, I realized I've got 2 weeks before Death Stranding, and then I've got 3 weeks before Jedi Fallen Order. It's getting to the point where I'm like, all my time is going to be taken up with those. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to chill. I'm going to enjoy one of the best games ever. And of course, with the Switch, I can play wherever I want, whenever I want. And extended battery life, man, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Like 6 hours.
I'm surprised you don't have Game Pass, since you talk about games with gold.
Yeah, I haven't yet. I probably should, but I just
haven't done it before. You can do Outer Worlds for $1.
Yeah, and that may be worth it just to try it. I mean, just to be able to try it and be like, yeah, that's how I feel about it, and I can keep it or not keep it, or not keep it, but like I can buy it later on, having played a little bit of the game. We did get some interesting news though. Riot Game announcements. Their 10-year anniversary going on. I had no idea they'd been around that long. So that's cool.
That was probably the craziest thing about just reading these announcements is like, and again, I'm not a big Riot, and for those who don't know, Riot are the people behind League of Legends, the most popular game in the entire world. So I didn't realize they'd been around that long, but also I didn't realize that they would actually do anything other than LoL.
Sure.
So this was kind of cool. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, Project L, and we're going to kind of go through this pretty quick because there's not a lot. I mean, it's a lot of basically like, hey, we're doing things. Yeah. Be excited that we're doing things. So Project L being a League of Legends fighter. I mean, it looks decent. I'm actually more excited about this than I am Project A. Because as soon as I saw it, it's a first-person tactical team-based shooter, and I don't know, like I guess it just doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah, the more interesting thing that I found, like they said something about the fighter, is that they're getting somebody from Evo to work with them on the game. And those of you who don't know what Evo is, that's one of the biggest fighting game tournaments every year.
That's cool.
So that at least adds some credibility to the fighting game.
Yeah.
But like you, in terms of first-person shooters, it really has to have like a story for me to really be interested. I suck. And so I have no problem saying that. I suck at first-person shooters. So if it doesn't have a story, then I generally don't play it.
Yeah.
Minus like free things like Apex and stuff. So if it's a free-to-play game, much like LoL is, I would at least check it out.
Yeah, if it's free and if it's fun and somehow forgiving to players that obviously the meta is going to change and everything. If going up against amazing players is going to, they're still going to destroy us. But if we can have fun, that's really what it's about. And free is always great. And
then the next couple were a little bit more interesting to me. But the one before we get to what I think you're probably more interested in, but they're making a esport manager sim.
I had to read it like 3 or 4 times because I was like, oh, it's like football management, but for esports. Okay, so we're talking about a subset of a subset of a subset, and the people who want to enjoy that subset of a subset of a subset. I thought that was weird.
It's so funny, and it's not even like all of esports or anything, obviously, because they can't. They would have to like work with other game companies to like get involved, like Overwatch League and stuff. So this is just League of Legends teams, but they're still like, the only thing that I can say that's like kind of cool for this is for people who don't like know of the esports companies like Team Solo Mid and Tempo Storm, and oh man, there's so many. Those are the first 2 that always come to mind. Like it's gonna put probably more of them on the map to like let more casuals like kind of get into those esports things. So like that's kind of cool. But there's just funniest thing to me.
Yeah.
It's like an esports.
I mean, from a branding perspective, I get like where they're like, oh, we're going to just use this, but at the same time, I'm like I would think that they'd want to reach out to others, like to specifically be like, hey, it's like cross promotional. And I mean, that's how I'd feel about it. I mean, if you're into whatever esport, obviously Overwatch is probably the second biggest, at least in America. It's maybe the biggest. But either way, like I would think that would be kind of working with a cross promotional thing. But a lot of people may just not want to play with them. So
yeah, and then here's actually some mad respect. So this one I thought it would actually be pretty interesting to you, and that is the League of Legends card game.
Yeah, I am interested in it. I'm curious about it. I like card games, but at the same time, it all depends on it depends on balance. It depends on how good the strategy is. So there's a lot to take in on that. And I don't think that what they showed to me was interesting. It's going to take a deep dive. I mean, I like the interface. It's similar to the Magic the Gathering and Arena and other things that I've played.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. But in regards to actual the card game itself, I'm going to need to play it. I'm going to need to dig in deep.
And the part that I found the most interesting about it, in turn, like the card game is kind of whatever. Like we'll see. Like you said, you have to play it. They are doing no loot boxes, so they're not doing the Hearthstone or what I assume Magic does as well, of buying card packs and having it be random card packs. You literally can buy the cards outright, either through money or through the in-game currency that I assume that you get from like doing dailies and all that stuff. So and I'm sure like in one way you're kind of like, well, you're gonna definitely like I would really have to see what they're gonna charge. Like what are the best cards gonna cost? What's the legendaries gonna cost? But at the same time, there's no air of randomness. Like there's been so many times where I was like, I eventually quit playing Hearthstone because I was just I played very casually, and then a new set would come out, and my decks are instantly bad. Because I don't want to spend $100 to open pack after pack after pack to hopefully get the legendary. So it's kind of interesting to be like, no, you don't have to do that. What? Pay us $1 for this card. Pay us $5 for this card. Like, I really want to know the pricing, but really interesting just that they're completely abandoning what all card games are generally based on.
I'm curious they said there's no loot boxes. I'm curious if all you earn in the game is in-game currency, and then you pour into that. That's fine, because that's kind of how Magic the Gathering online Magic Arena works, except you don't buy you don't buy individual cards, you buy packs. So it'd be just like, so you can spend real money, or you can buy in-game money, or you can spend in-game currency. To be able to buy the card with in-game currency is great. Like you said, if there's a secondary market for a card, I'm assuming the secondary market for the card is going to be less. If I can straight up purchase for $5 through them, I'm sure the secondary market's going to be less. It should be someone wanting to sell their card. So I think that's nice, because that means I don't
hear that.
Yeah, because you're not going to put the card online for $7 if it costs $5, unless they rotate sets, which happens with both Hearthstone and Magic. Happened recently with Magic, and like you said, all your decks are bad. All my decks were gone except for 2, because I didn't realize I was playing. Half of my cards were from like old sets.
Do they still have the mode like Hearthstone does, where you can play with like any card that's ever been released? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So they put the 2 different modes, but like that's not like that's the mode where I can never play those, because people are way more creative than I am. So I would literally have to like go steal decks off the internet.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's the same thing in Magic. Obviously Magic and Hearthstone are so similar, and I'll get off my Magic. We'll actually pivot into a Magic story real quick after this, but the formats are so similar. It rotates where they call it wild in Hearthstone, and in Magic, in like real tournaments, you have standard, modern, and vintage, and there's some other things too. But the problem is the when you get a larger pool of cards, you have more interesting interactions. So that's when it's not just that they're more creative. It's like you have more to choose from. If you want a vampire deck, you pick from vampires from past, like for Magic the Gathering, the past 20 years, like any vampires that you want. Obviously Hearthstone's not that old, but I guess I can talk about, because we're talking about Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. We were talking about the Hearthstone player. I can't remember his name offhand, but Blizzcon, yeah, who basically voiced his support for Hong Kong, and Blizzard kind of punished him for it. Well, we had a similar story happen with Magic the Gathering Arena. This was at one of the day 2 of the Mythic Championship. Of Arena. So they're playing Arena just like you would normally, except obviously they are actually next to each other. And I think this guy quits, or they just completely win. But right afterwards, the player Li Shitian was interviewed and voiced his support for Hong Kong. Not only, I mean, the mask is him supporting that. I think that he had a shirt that supported it as well. He didn't take too much time. He said just a couple quick things, and they didn't punish him at all. No. And I think that's how it should be. He didn't detract during the match. He didn't there's so many I mean, to me it was sportsmanlike, and he was like, hey, this is important to me. It was similar to me as when you see a player, we're talking about football, and they're like, you got to believe in God and whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Like, it didn't, like, that's his belief, and it didn't offend me. That's his belief, and in this case, I don't see why anyone would not be on board for it. So I thought that was cool for Wizards to do that.
Yeah, and I think also, like, they have an opportunity, even like, from a business standpoint, even if they wanted to. At the same time, they already saw and I don't even know if it's actually affected Blizzard's bottom line very much. We're going to talk after we get done with the Riot Games stuff. We'll talk about a couple of leaks for BlizzCon, but sure. They have an opportunity there to look better than Blizzard, and you want to take that opportunity. Like, of course, that is financially like, and I hate thinking about it that way. Yeah. But that's whenever I saw the story, that's instantly what I was like.
And Magic's been around for a long time, but Hearthstone and Blizzard make more money than Magic the Gathering. So, I mean, yeah, obviously they want to come up on top on that. So yeah. I agree.
Before we moved on to the thing, there was a couple other stuff that, like, there's an action RPG that they're making, but the biggest, to me at least, the biggest announcement that Riot had during this is that LOL is coming to console and mobile. After years of being PC exclusive, they are changing, like, the game a little bit. I think it's going to be called League of Legends Wild Rift, but essentially it's just League of Legends. I don't know why that is. I think probably because mouse and keyboard or something is easier to do. So they probably just want to distinguish it enough to say, like, it's not a complete carbon copy of the game because we had to make it work. But they also said that matches are going to be shorter. So I don't know enough about MOBAs to tell you how long a match is. I want to say they're like 30 to 45 minutes. The idea on these new ones is going to be 15 to 20 minutes. So they're trying to shorten that experience, which makes sense, especially if they're going to put it on phones. But hey, if you're a console person like me and Patrick are, and you've always wondered what the MOBA life is like, this is going to be a real MOBA coming to consoles and mobiles. Check it out.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think they're going to see a lot more people play it. Obviously, a lot more people play it. I mean, I'm not trying to make the most obvious statement here, but I think that there is a huge. I mean, obviously with the mobile crowd, you're going to get tons of people playing it. As long as the controls are good, and obviously if you have a decent controller to plug into it. With consoles, I'm just curious about price. They didn't mention price point, did they?
Should be free.
I would think so.
I mean, LOL right now is free, so
I would think so. So if it's free, then yeah, it's gonna get a lot of people.
It's all hero based, so like buying new heroes and stuff like that. That's how they make their money. Yeah. And like, I think there's items. Again, I'm sure there's somebody out there who knows way more about LOL than we do. I've literally never played it. I tried Blizzard's version a couple years ago, Heroes of the Storm, and that's only because it has Blizzard characters in it, and that was back when we liked Blizzard. Okay,
Yeah.
but I just didn't get it. It seems like when you and I heard somebody describing this is actually like when you think about sports and esports, like MOBAs are the esport. Like you can't just go like casually play a MOBA. You have to like get it. You have to understand. You have a role there. You have to like practice it. You have to figure out like when you're supposed to like move in and move out, like, and you're doing this all on an online game. There's not like there's practice against bots, but you still have like, this is just not the same.
Yeah.
And it's just not for me. I'm not a competitive gamer. So.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Neither one of us are competitive gamers. Like at the same time, when it comes to card play, like playing card games, I'm okay. I mean, I'm not amazing. I'm decent at it. Like I was talking about last week. Like I'm ranked pretty decent in regards to arena. I mean, obviously not as good as these guys that were at the Grandmasters and everything, but like I'm doing all right. I've played in some tournaments. I've placed okay. I didn't like smash everybody, but at the same time, I don't know, like I'm not going to sit and play and learn these things. Like the same thing with like StarCraft. Like I love StarCraft and I love World of Warcraft. Sorry, not World of Warcraft. Warcraft, like Warcraft 2.
Yeah.
But I was never good enough to like straight up compete in those games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just different things for different people. Speaking of Blizzard though, BlizzCon's actually next week. Yeah. If you didn't know, BlizzCon's going on, and we were talking about all the stuff going on with Blizzard, and we had some leaks going on, and obviously these are rumors / leaks, whatever. So take it with a grain of salt. But sounds like Diablo 4 is going to be a possibility.
Yeah, I don't see how it can be.
It's. I mean, we've been waiting forever for this. Diablo 3 came out like 10 years ago. And it was Diablo 3 was okay, but even Diablo 3, the Diablo fans of 1 and 2 were like, it's okay. And then they kept putting it made them money, so they just kept pushing for it and everything. But yeah, Diablo 4 has to happen. The thing that surprised me was an Overwatch 2.
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about that. At the same time, Overwatch is 4 years old now, I believe. But it's not ancient. It still looks good. It still plays well. People are still playing it so much. I mean, unless they're trying to make sure that they don't get dated. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
3 years. It came out in 20.
Was 3 years?
It was Game of the Year 2016.
Okay. So 3 years old. So let's say this comes out into next year.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So at that time we're talking 4.5 years. The only thing I can think of is that they're trying to ensure that the game doesn't get stale in any way, because they can keep changing up characters. You can only keep adding characters and keep adding maps before it gets bloated. So I feel like maybe that's what they're doing with this. Obviously, I'm not tapped into the Overwatch meta and the Overwatch crowd the way that some people are, but that kind of surprised me because Blizzard has been milking World of Warcraft forever, and it was the same thing where they're like, if we come out with World of Warcraft 2, it could destroy our player base. So it's interesting to me that Overwatch 2 could be a thing. At the same time, it may be something that's early in development, and it may be something that people still play, Overwatch 1 or Overwatch 2, similar to people playing StarCraft or StarCraft 2. People still play StarCraft, so yeah. What do you think?
I think it would have to be a thing where I don't think that they can. If they try to do this, if this rumor is true, like, you can't charge for the game. It needs to be a Hearthstone situation where like you buy pieces, like, because that, I mean. Honestly, like, as good as Overwatch is made, again, I'm not a competitive player, but I played it. I own it on PC, I think. From a few years ago, somebody was like, "Hey, play it with us," and I played it with them for like 10 minutes, and then realized it's not for me. But it was a $60 game, and then now I think it's still like $30 or $40. Like, and I think they've made it full price on Switch. Like the barrier to entry there for a game where there is always like a new hero coming out. I don't actually know how often they introduce a new hero, but I know at this point there's a decent amount.
Yeah.
I think they have to change the approach to it, and maybe that could be it versus an Overwatch 2, like just make Overwatch free to play and give it an overhaul or something. I don't know. I think that it's really weird whenever we think about the esports games, because Overwatch was designed to be an esport game. Like, it can definitely casually be played, but it really can't. It's really hard to casually play Overwatch. You have to at least be like wanting to do ranked. If you try and do casual, it's really boring, and you just get told how much you suck. That's just how it goes. And so it's like one of those games you have to play with friends or get really lucky on the pugs. And that's the same thing with like a LoL. It's just I don't think that it had the same staying power, obviously, as a LoL, because their league is definitely not nearly as popular. I know that it's popular enough. They've invested a lot of money into it, but it doesn't have that same thing. So I think if they're going to do it, they need to make it a free-to-play game, and then just make it to where no matter what, there's always these base heroes that you can play as, and then there's going to be more heroes added on, or more maps or something, like things that you can buy in pieces versus like, I have to buy this $60 game to even start playing, and then you're going to also charge me for new DLC and stuff, which I think they do. Again, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that you have to like buy new stuff when new things come out.
You can buy new skins and stuff, I think, but I don't think the level. I don't remember if the levels cost anything.
Are they new characters?
It's a sense, like I think that you have to do new characters, but I can't remember. Like there are certain characters that are I don't even remember. Don't even quote us on that. I haven't played Overwatch in forever. But it's a sensitive like balance that they're gonna have to to ride
they've added new characters at free of charge. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. It's still $60 for a game that like you have to want to get into it.
It's been on sale, like I just looked up, like it's been on sale like $20 or whatever, but at the same time, like it's $20 to get into a game that you have to be into, you have to devote time to, you have to, I mean, that's how this game works. It's not something you're getting in and you're going to explore and enjoy. You're only going to enjoy it if you're getting better at it and becoming ranked, or at least have friends that you're playing with it.
We're gonna see how much people really care, though. If Diablo 4 comes out, but gets announced, we're gonna see how much how really mad they are at Blizzard, because that's a game big enough to where, like, if you love Diablo, it's hard to say like, I'm not going to buy it.
Oh yeah, there's people online that were like, oh, I requested my my information from Blizzard because you can legally request your information. I'm like, okay, and like delete your account. I'm like, okay,
stupid, you just thrown away so much money.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, it doesn't give them more money that they still have my account.
Sunk costs.
Yeah. So at the same time, like I don't want to support them. Yeah, Diablo's my thing. So and in addition to this, the rumor Diablo 4, the rumor is that they're gonna have a remaster of Diablo 2 that'll be announced as well. That's an instant buy, like immediately pre-order that. I played Diablo 2 earlier this year. And it was, I mean, yeah, the graphics are crazy dated, but it's still a fun game. It's still enjoyable.
It holds up enough.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So, speaking of tiptoeing around and being able to, price things the right way, I guess, is Fallout 76 announced that they have a premium, a subscription or premium membership. So for $12 a month, you're going to be able to use private servers, and there's some other little perks there. The biggest one, unlimited storage, a survival tent, but the biggest one was the private servers. People have been asking to use private servers like crazy. I get that, because then you can say, look, this is my private server I'm playing on, just like Minecraft, where you're like, I don't want people to come in and wreck it. I want to do whatever I want here and invite people to come to it. I'm like, that's really cool. At the same time, I find it funny that it's kind of the opposite of what it used to be, where I guess in the PC world, I know that there were people who created their own private servers, and it may have not been legal, but I know people created private servers for different MMOs and different other games. And in this case, you're not going to pay to play the multiplayer. You're going to pay to play it on your own or on your own server. So I thought that was kind of interesting. At the same time, I don't know how many people are still playing this. How many people are still playing Fallout 76?
Yeah, I've heard fan base.
I mean, I've heard it's gotten better. I love Fallout, but I don't know. I mean, if it has a good fan base, if it's getting better, that's great. It really surprised me to see that they were going to do a premium. I mean, other than the fact they just want money. So
yeah, so it's $100 a year. I don't know if you actually said that, or like 12 or 13 bucks a month.
Yeah,
that doesn't. I don't think that adds up mathematically speaking. It might. Yeah, it does. Okay. And I think I read that not everybody has to have the premium to access the private server. So it's something where it's like if you have friends you regularly play with, like maybe you could all go in on one. Like somebody fronts the cash, and then it's like, okay, here here's $10 from me, $10 from you, like But like at the same time, like it's kind of a scummy price. Like they made gangbusters on this game when they shouldn't have. They sold it was in the NPD's top charts for the month that it came out. It made way too much. It made way more money than it deserved to make.
100%, yeah.
But I have heard that they've fixed a lot of things. I've heard that it's for the Fallout fans. I've heard it's fun to play. So you could probably get like a cheap copy at GameStop if you're interested in checking it out.
I'll admit it. I may get it during Black Friday. Like I am totally like I've not bought games in a long time, and not that I'm itching to throw down money, but at the same time I'm like, Black Friday's coming out. There's a bunch of games that I want to play. I want to have in my collection one way or another. If they're cheap enough, I mean, I'm guessing Fallout 76 is gonna be pretty cheap on Black Friday. So
I'm gonna play Outer Worlds instead. That's how I'm gonna get my Fallout fix. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas. So
it's my favorite Fallout game.
Yeah,
that's my favorite Fallout game.
I'm so excited for Outer Worlds. That's why. That's the only reason I keep bringing it up, guys. Yeah. But there's no way that I would give Bethesda money for this. Pretty much the only game that I'm really interested in giving Bethesda money for at this point is Doom sometime down the line, and then whenever they announce like Starfield or whatever it's called, and
Starfield will come out first before Elder Scrolls. I'll say Starfield we'll probably get news on that at E3.
It's just I'm so mad at the way that they don't update anything. They don't things still look janky. It still looks old. Like I don't understand. Other than Doom, like Doom's like they get it with Doom. Whoever's made id. Good job.
Yeah, it's id.
Let's go. Wolfenstein seems to be kind of like on a downward thing as opposed to upwards after
the sisters one. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah. I heard it was like fun enough, but at the same time I also heard like it was kind of ridiculous. And in some of the boss fights, there were several people that I know that straight up didn't finish the game because like the final boss fight was dumb. So it's one of those vote with your wallet things. But if you love you some Fallout, I'm not telling you not to, but it's just weird. They're like $100, dude. Like it's so much.
That's a lot. That's a lot these days. So it's not going to be me, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with the rest of it.
And apparently, they're not allowing mods. Like they're out of the gate. Like the whole point of a private server is for like mods and stuff, right? Yep. And apparently they said that they're like looking at adding different levels of support for that later, but that's
money. They're going to charge money for it because it's what they did with that's what they tried to do with Skyrim, where they're like, oh well, yeah, you can have mods, and I think Fallout 4 was doing it. Fallout 4 was the first to do it, where they're like, we have a mod shop where we'll sell you mods, or people can sell their mods, or whatever crap it was. But it's like, no, like I want to download a mod. I want to put it on my PC. I'm going to do it myself, or someone programmed it. I'm gonna install it, and I'm going to have a rocket launcher that yells John Cena every time you hit the button. Like that's hilarious.
Or in cases like Skyrim and stuff, where like literally like the best version of Skyrim is like a mod for Skyrim, like the best running version. I think of Oblivion too, and probably Morrowind. Like all of those are mods. Like they took your game and they improved things and made it a little less janky here and there, and they did it for free.
Yeah, my best time playing Skyrim, because I played Skyrim on PS4 on did I play it on, was it on 360? Yeah. I played it, I think so, but like I played it everywhere. But playing it on a PC with there are a couple mods for textures and everything, but one of the simplest mods ever. It's called Open Cities, and it's the best mod for Skyrim because when you open the gates to the different cities, it's normally a loading screen. And they have a mod, so it just opens the gates instead, and it preloads the city as you're walking up to it. You open the gates and you just walk in, and it was the simplest thing, but it was a game changer. It was amazing.
Yeah, and it probably wasn't simple. It probably wasn't simple to do, but the fact, again, people did that for free. The
fact that that's not on the I mean, you can get it on the PlayStation 1 if you download it. I think that it's available, but on PC it was amazing. One real quick thing before we end our gaming news segment, we did have one last bit of news, is that I erased it, sorry. Okay, no worries, whatever, that's fine. We'll just end there. It wasn't that big of a deal, so keep watching us because we'll tell you what is important and we'll delete things that aren't important and you won't hear about those. Also, keep watching us because we're going to talk about like Black Friday and everything, and we'll continue talking about Star Wars. So if you love Star Wars, keep tuned in and watch. We'll see you later.